Before we begin, our chapter would like to acknowledge that Victoria is the traditional unceded territory of the Lekwungen-speaking people. We keep this acknowledgement at the forefront of our march and our organizing practices, and thank the Indigenous peoples whose land we operate. We recognize the importance of decolonizing practices within the context of social justice and strive to ensure that our actions support the pre-existing framework established by Indigenous activists. My name is Meagan Pal. I am a student at the University of Victoria. I'm studying computer science, and I'm also a member of the Women's March Victoria chapter. Before we begin with some very exciting and interesting panels this afternoon, I'd like to go over a couple of housekeeping items. So first, the washrooms. You probably saw them. They are over that way in the foyer near the entrance. And there's also an accessible washroom down the hallway over there. Also, we will be recording and taking pictures of the panels in this event. So these photos will be perhaps about and circulating. So if you would prefer not to be in any of those recordings or pictures, please let our photographers know, and we have a system to accommodate that. Also, you probably saw when you came in the foyer, we have a selfie wall, and we encourage you at the breaks, not only to network and meet new people, but maybe take some selfies with those new friends, and to share them on social media platforms, especially with the hashtag Women's March Victoria, and the handle at WMC_Victoria. So like I mentioned, there'll be short breaks between the panels, as well as one longer break. And at these breaks, we encourage you to go and visit tables from local social justice organizations that are set up in a classroom down on that end. So there will be some 10-minute breaks and some 20-minute breaks to do that. Our panel moderators will be keeping track of time, and we ask that these panels do not run over to accommodate some of the needs of the panelists who are participating. Also, instead of audience questions at the end of the panel, we have planned a networking, collaborating time, which will begin at about 4:20 and go until 5. And as always, make sure your cell phones are muted. There's going to be some great ideas and great stories being shared, and we don't want any of those to be interrupted. I would now like to give a little introduction of a video from Sara Bingham, who is the founder of Women's March Canada.
Hello, Victoria. My name is Sara Bingham, and I am from Women's March Canada. I am coming to you from Kitchener, Ontario, but I wish I could be in Victoria with you. I'm so excited for the day that you're going to have and to hear all about it afterwards. I want to personally thank the entire Women's March Canada Victoria chapter for all the hard work that you're doing. You are truly an inspiration to the rest of the country. Kat, Cayla, Miranda, I've just had so much joy watching what you're doing, and it's truly inspired to me personally and to the rest of us with Women's March Canada across the country. Women's March Canada is working to move from a march to a movement, and you are helping with that. Our mission and your mission is to inspire, unite, and lead the charge for the advancement of women across Canada. The work that we do, our vision and values can be explained in a unifying framework called HERS. And that's a framework that's being used with Women's March chapters around the globe. HERS stands for speaking up for and working towards the betterment of women's health, economic security, representation, and safety. Thank you, Victoria, for all that you do as a city, as a community. You are an inspiration for all of us across the country. Keep doing what you're doing, and I look forward to hearing how the symposium goes and what other inspiring things you guys come up with. Enjoy the day, and thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sara. I would now like to introduce our lead organizer and my very good friend, Dr. Kat Sark, who was a co-organizer with Cayla Naumann of the last Women's March in Victoria in January of 2018. Kat founded the local Women's March chapter in Victoria as a non-profit grassroots organization to uphold human rights, social justice, and intersectional feminist values, and to serve the local community right after the last march. Kat teaches as a sessional instructor in multiple departments at the University of Victoria. She specializes in cultural analysis, cultural history, media and gender studies, and is the founder of the Canadian Fashion Scholars Network. She edits and publishes the annual digital anthology of Social Justice and Intersectional Feminisms. Her next book project focuses on social justice pedagogies and mobilizations of digital media. Please welcome to the stage Dr. Kat Sark.
Thank you, Meagan. I also want to introduce Cayla Naumann, who's here today. So she and I came together in January for the first time to organize the last Women's March. We didn't know each other prior to it, but we've become really good friends, and so please welcome Cayla Naumann as well.
Thanks everyone who came here today. Starting or organizing the Women's March in January meant a lot to me, and it's been pretty amazing to see how it started as kind of a one-off march and it's grown into a movement in the ongoing organization in Victoria. I am simultaneously happy and sad that I recently relocated to Vancouver for a work position, and so I feel a little bit sad sometimes that I'm a little not quite as connected to Women's March Victoria as I was when things got rolling, but I'm really happy to be here today and to continue to see all the amazing work going on in Victoria and to hopefully eventually get something started in Vancouver, but I'm still settling in, so thanks for coming today. Thanks for supporting Women's March Victoria and Women's March Canada and doing all the amazing work each of you is doing in your own individual way and through the organizations you work or volunteer with or that sort of thing. We can only do this, each of us kind of chipping away together, and so I'm really excited that everybody's here today.
I'm just going to walk you really briefly through who we are and what we've done in our first year since January. So as Sara, the creator from Women's March Canada, mentioned, we follow, our mandate is basically the HERS principles. So we follow the health, economic security, which includes equity and equality, representation and safety. So these are our guiding principles. You can find them on the Women's March Canada website. When Women's March originated as a march on Washington, a group of women of different representations came together to come up with these unity principles. So this is kind of like the constitution of Women's March all around the world. So they basically include things like ending violence, fighting for reproductive rights, LGBTQ rights, workers' rights, civil rights, disability rights, immigrant rights, and environmental justice. So this is, again, included in all the work that we do and in the back of our minds to be inclusionary and diverse in our work. So as of today, there are 6 Women's March chapters all across Canada. They're slowly growing into a grassroots movement to fight for and uphold human rights, social justice, and intersectional feminist values. So again, you can see them on the Women's March Canada website. Let me just pull it up. Here are the different chapters in case you haven't seen them yet. So again, we all started in January, so this is relatively new as of a couple of months in the making. But Women's March is also a global movement at this point, so there is a global network. We all talk to each other, we all know each other, we Skype once a week, and we support each other as well, so we keep each other posted on what we're doing, and we share our resources, so it's a very collaborative effort. So you've probably heard of Women's March Barcelona, Women's March Berlin, so there are different organizations all around the world now. Women's March Global has its own webpage and social media, and yeah, you can check out what they're up to. In Victoria, we're all volunteers, so we're working to support local communities and use our various privileges to build platforms for marginalized people to amplify repressed voices and to inform and educate all of us about the most pressing issues in our communities. So as an educator, my lens or my perspective on this is lifelong learning. I'm still learning as I'm doing this work. I'm always open to new ideas, to more inclusivity, to more justice and things like that. So as I'm going through this process of organizing, of bringing people together, of listening to panelists who have lived experiences that I may not have, I'm also learning as I go. And so this is how we collaborate. Since January 2018, we have been working non-stop, mostly behind the scenes in many ways, to support local diverse social justice organizations, organize protests and rallies. The last one was organized by Miranda, the Rally to End Family Separation. And we also publish what we think are valuable resources for our community. So we have the anthology, there's a display copy at the registration desk, and we're launching the Women in Business Guide because we wanted to support the women who are doing important, ethical, just, inclusive work in our communities as well. And I'm going to talk really briefly what other publications we're planning to do in a second. And finally, we do really believe that feminism without intersectionality is just white supremacy. So we're not interested in white women's feminism anymore and just want to be inclusive. And that includes men as well. So I'm happy to see that our allies are here, and thank you for helping us. So just to very briefly go over, as I mentioned, we've been working nonstop since January, since organizing the march with Cayla and Christy and a couple of other people who are here. We invited a few of the grassroots organization speakers to be moderators, to be part of panels, whoever was available, to basically bring back and say, hey, today is exactly 6 months since the last march. We wanted to check in with people, have more collaborative projects, and have a chance to really talk to each other and see what work can be done that is beneficial to the Victoria community in particular. We assisted with the Stolen Sisters March in February. We organized the International Women's Day Festival in March, launched the Anthology at the Public Library in March, helped organize, fundraise, and plan the March for Science. So that was Cayla. Cayla took lead on that. As I mentioned, Miranda took the lead on the Rally to End Family Separation, and so now we're at the Symposium that I organized, and we're launching a new publication as well. So as you can see, we've been quite busy, and we plan to continue to do so. So a few words about our publications. The first, if you get a chance, take a look. The Anthology for Social Justice and Intersectional Feminisms is available online. The first volume is available to download for free. For the second volume, we actually have a contest. We built a website for this publication and plan to have a new volume published every year on International Women's Day on March 8th. And so there will be a contest. There are different categories, so research essays, poems, activism reports, photo or art pieces, and I was asked to also add fiction pieces as well. So I will be doing that. The second volume will be published in March, and so the deadline for the submissions is in December. We'll tell you about our Women in Business Guide more at the end of the day today. We're going to have an official launch for it. And then the other guides that we're planning to do, I'll show you actually here. So when we thought about how to best serve the community, we started with the women in business because we realized, Cayla and I were thinking about it, and we realized that there are a lot of women doing really important work for the Victoria community, and not always is their work visible or recognizable as such. So when we tried to look up different guides or organizations or even lists of different women-owned or women-run businesses, it was actually really hard to find a list like that. Every once in a while there would be a publication, or Vic News had a little leaflet that basically highlighted the work of different women, but there wasn't anything comprehensive. So we decided to start with the women in business. The next project is women in politics, and I see a couple of women who work in politics who are here today. So we would like to celebrate your achievements in your work, and also use your profiles to inspire younger women to follow in your footsteps, to do this important work that you do for the communities. So I just wanted to point out, on the anthology website and on the Women's March Canada Victoria website, there are now these application forms where we ask you to describe your work in your own words. So you get to profile yourself in your own words. So it looks like this. Next up will be women in activism, women in the arts, and of course, because I'm also affiliated with UVic and I know the amazing work that women are doing here, and I'm getting to know more and more of them in different departments, so this is really exciting for me as well. Women in education, and how education can be transformative for social change and things like that, how arts can be transformative for social change, and finally, women in leadership, so different CEOs, social justice leaders, basically whoever does not feel like falling into any of the other categories, but still needs to be known. So that's about our publications. And just a final note. As you know, we live in a social media or media age and new technology age, and so we're basically invisible unless we're somewhere online, unless people can Google us, unless people can see what we do. So we ask people to follow us on all these different ways. So we have a page on the Women's March Canada website. We have an email address where you can always reach us. We have a Facebook group if you hate Facebook, as most people do. There's Instagram, there's Twitter and Instagram are actually the same. And again, please keep track of our future publications on our anthology website. So thank you so much. Thank you all for your support. This is also our first real fundraising event. So everyone who is in this room has donated money to be here. So I really want to thank you for being here, for helping us, for recognizing the work that we do, and all of the volunteers who are here. Thank you for all your time that you've put in. Happy Symposium. I'm looking forward to the panels and learning from all the women who agreed to be on these panels to inform us all what are the most pressing issues for women in our communities. Thank you so much.